What if you had a hobby you enjoyed so much you wanted to include all of your friends? And what if you wanted to create a community event in your hometown that benefited a much-loved local charity? How would you do that? Our guest today did just that by gathering his friends and family, involved local schools, businesses, and social services, and created an event that combines fun and giving on a Saturday every spring. Join us today to learn all about Wheels of Hope. Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Claire. We're always on the lookout for entrepreneurs, business owners, and people who give back and want to have fun. I'd like to welcome our guest today, Jamie Miller. Jamie is a native of Garland, Texas, a banker by day, and the founder and force between Wheels of Hope. Wheels of Hope is an annual community event that involves the whole Garland community and benefits Hope Clinic of Garland. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you. Thanks for having us here today.
Oh, it is such a pleasure. I am so excited to let everybody know about Wheels of Hope because this is an amazing event that you guys have grown and grown and grown for several years now. But before we do that, I want our listeners and our viewers to get to know a little bit about Jamie. So you are a native of Garland. You're a banker by day. But you haven't always been a banker.
No. Growing up and going to college, I always thought I was going to play baseball. That didn't quite work out. So my senior year, I had to figure out what I wanted to do for a living. My roommate was going to go interview with the bank, so I said, okay, I'll go with you. One thing led to another, and I became a banker. And so 1981, I graduated, I got a job, I was already married, and proceeded to get into the banking business. I spent a week as a teller, bookkeeping, new accounts. I spent a week in every department of the bank.
Oh, wow.
The week as a teller was pretty much a disaster. I think they didn't even try to balance my drawer. I think they just burned it in a fire. I wasn't the best teller. Oh. But
there are other things in store for you.
So I got started in banking. American National Bank of Garland. A gentleman by the name of Don Holland was a mentor of mine. Got me into business, and I've been there since 1981.
Wow. So you really fast-tracked it. I mean, you graduated from college in 81, and you got a job right then. You were already married, and boy, you just had the tiger by the tail, really.
Yes, it was fast and furious. We had all of our kids by the time we were 30. My wife and I, Kathy
Wow.
and I did, and she's a Garland girl also. So we just we decided we wanted to come back to Garland. At that time, we could have gone anywhere, but we
Sure.
decided to stay in Garland. I told her if I'm going to be successful anywhere, it's probably going to be in Garland, where I know a few people.
Yeah.
So we stayed.
So knowing those few people have probably helped a little bit, I imagine, in getting this Wheels of Hope idea off the ground. So tell us a little bit about how that all came about.
Well, the Wheels of Hope, basically around 2010, I decided I wanted to get a car. I had the argument that I think all middle-aged men have with their wife about having a motorcycle.
They're like, no, two wheels, that's not safe.
And after I lost the argument about a motorcycle, I decided I wanted a car. And so I have several customers that do this for a living. A gentleman by the name of Gary Profit, who's my lead judge for the event and knows everything about cars. I told him I messed up. I told him I wanted a car, and within a week, he had a 1969 Roadrunner, and I bought it. And then the year after that, there was a 1968 Corvette, and I bought that. And so you start going to car shows, and you see how cool it is, and a lot of them were community events. The one that really struck me after going to car shows they're all good and they all support charities, but you spend a lot of time in a parking lot, baking in the sun, far away from shade or anything. So I found this. We went to this one car show in Albany, Texas, which is a county seat with a courthouse. The whole community turned out, and I got to thinking about Garland. And the good thing about Garland is we have a square, but there's not a courthouse in the middle of it blocking your view. It's wide open. So I thought Garland would be the perfect place. And I got to talking to my customers, and just about every one of them had a car. So I thought, well, just with my customers and I, we can have a car show.
Sure.
You know, we took 18 months to plan the first one because I
Wow.
wanted it to be nice. I wanted it to be organized, and I wanted it to be an event. And we sought the Hope Clinic to be our beneficiary. I was on the board at the Hope Clinic at the time. And just one thing led to another.
So Wheels of Hope came about, and it supports the Hope Clinic. So let's tell our audience a little bit about Hope Clinic and how
Yes.
you help support them.
Absolutely. You know, I've been involved with just about every charity around the community over these 40 years. But the Hope Clinic was a special one. Not only is it a place where people can go to get health care that need it. It's for people of Garland that are needy, that need health care. But it also has a great Christian ministry outreach that goes with it. And those are two things that, you know, it's easy to get your heart around. And so serving on that board and of course the people that volunteer, the board and the people that serve within the clinic are the most dedicated people you will ever find. 7,000 patient visits a year.
Wow.
Currently, it's grown quite a bit. As you can see, it provides a great service to the community in addition to the Christian ministry. And it was just real easy to get your heart around that. And so becoming involved with that and thinking about doing a car, I have to admit, I originally thought about doing a car show just as a car show, just for all of us grease monkeys. You know? and then I thought, well, we could probably raise some money. I went to the Hope Clinic. They wrapped their minds around the concept of a car show, and I told them, okay, y'all raise money all the time. I don't want anybody from the Hope Clinic board. I don't want you going to any of your same old customers and supporters to raise money yet again for Hope Clinic. I'm going to go out here and find a whole new subset of people that are interested in car shows that would also be contributors to the Hope Clinic. So the way I wanted it to come together, I didn't want to start another event and then us go to the same corporate sponsors to hit them up for the third or fourth time in a year to do an event. So the way this came about, we were able to do that. The Hope Clinic is great. They provide up to 30 volunteers for us for the event, and it's become a great event and one of the top fundraisers of the Hope Clinic.
And what a gift for them, for someone to come and say, I want to raise money for you, but guess what? I don't want you to have to work really hard to do this. And furthermore, I'm going to use my sphere of influence to bring in money from people that maybe haven't heard of you before or have heard of you but don't really understand you. And so you're like their advocate and their prophet, really, to get out there and bring that new energy into something that's already amazing and existing. And, you know, when you're working with a organization like that, you are spread so thin. So having that offer of, I don't want you to do any extra work, must have just been a godsend for them.
You know, it was, although they'll probably differ now because they're more involved. You know, they handle all the money. All the money goes straight to the Hope Clinic, goes straight into the account. And so there's a little accounting they have to do. And then, like I said, they volunteer. They send 30 volunteers out the day of the event. And so it has just kind of evolved into this. I think one of the things I should mention is when I started putting together, thinking about how I was going to put together a board, because, you know, it needs to be bigger than any one individual. So I started thinking about putting together a board. I went to several people. One of the first people I went to was Assistant City Manager Martin Glenn, because we needed the square. We needed to block it off. We needed barricades. We needed, you know, porta potties. We needed some security. And within 5 minutes, Martin Glenn was all in.
Wow.
So we've got such great participation from our city. We've got great participation from the Independent School District, the Garland Independent School District, which, by the way, includes the cities of Sachse and Rowlett.
Oh, okay.
And not a lot of people know that, but it's the 3 cities that are covered within the Garland Independent School District. and through that, we have brought in talent. It's immense talent within the district that kids have, but you might not get to see it all the time. For instance, the South Garland Auto Body Shop.
Mm-hmm.
These kids go to the wrecking yard. They pick out a hood. It's usually torn up,
Yeah.
and they have to clean it up, refinish it, paint it, and they get to paint it with whatever artistic design they want to paint. And these kids are the most creative kids ever. Well, as it turns out, they go to state every year. They win tons of competitions,
Wow.
but nobody would know it.
Yeah.
So when I was at the facility and saw the hoods hanging from the ceiling, I said, I want those hoods in the car show. And so the kids have been part of our show every year. They
That's
put their hoods
amazing.
out, and they've gotten more acclaim and more notoriety, so to speak, within the city from people who didn't even know that program existed. And so it's a great way to bring attention to kids that work. I mean, they work just as hard as the football team or the
heck yeah,
athletics,
yeah.
probably harder and longer hours. But there was no good way to bring them notoriety or attention. And so we have found a way to do that with the car show.
So you're including the entire school district in in your organization,
Yes.
as well as grooming future people that would be interested in donating to the cause as well, because you're supporting them when they need it. So it's like you're growing these little spider legs of help for all of these different people by one
Right.
thing.
It has
So
been the
that's-
remarkable part of the show.
It's just
Number
spreading.
one is the interest people had to volunteer, and
Yeah.
and I kid, if your name is in my phone, then you're automatically on the board of directors for the Wheels of Hope, because I will call on you. I will need you for something at some time. It's kind of a joke. Everybody's on the board, but we have a lot of people that show up to our 6 or 7 board meetings a year to plan this thing. I can't tell you how much support we get from the school district. You couldn't write a check for that.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how much we get from the city. We couldn't afford to pay for that. The fact that all this is coming together from the city's viewpoint, the great and positive attention it's brought to downtown Garland and the merchants and vendors, every restaurant downtown tells me it's their biggest day of sales
Oh,
of the
wow.
year.
Yeah.
And so they all want me to do another one in the fall.
Oh, how do you feel about that?
Well, between myself and my staff, we're going to stay with one.
Okay.
For now.
That's fair.
But it's a good event. The point is not to overblow it too much, but it's a good event. Last year, the city estimated we had over 6,000 people that showed up the day of.
Wow.
We had 230, 240 cars last year. This year, after 7 weeks of horrible weather, and tomorrow's going to, the event's supposed to be nice. We're hoping that the crowds are big again. They have been every year, and we're going to continue. Hopefully, great show.
Well, yeah, when you go to see a car show, you really probably want it to have nice weather so people can go around and open the doors. And are they allowed to touch the cars?
No,
Okay.
that's a no-no. It's
Okay.
a universal no-no in the car show business. You don't lean on the cars. You keep your kids off of the cars. You
Okay.
can't climb on the cars, because a lot of these people spend untold amount of money
Heck
on their
yeah.
paint jobs.
Yeah.
And
Don't
getting
want
them
it scratched.
perfect. And if you ever get to a car show early, you're going to see everybody with rags and polish. They're making their car perfect, because they want everybody to see their car when it's perfect. And so we encourage everybody. As a matter of fact, we hand out little placards that say "Do not touch."
Okay, so
that
everybody knows.
has one. Yes.
Okay, good. Well, duly noted. Do not touch the cars.
Yeah. Don't sit on the hood.
No. Oh, no. Yeah, that I'm sure that would make them very angry. So we don't want to have angry classic car owners. So why classic cars out of all the different kinds of cars that are out there?
Honestly, I like the classics. When we say classics, it's to me the classics are pre-72.
Okay.
Although we have classes for cars that are older than that, there are now car clubs that have 2016 Chargers or Camaros or Mustangs. You have the late model car clubs that are out there, but there's just such an interest by the public. The vintage aspect of these cars from the 70s back, the big motors,
Yeah.
fast cars, crazy color, the Mopar purples and lime greens, and there are just so many different aspects of that. It just was a significant time in history where cars were more than just transportation. They were, they were kind of your pet almost. and so that's why there's such a huge industry in collecting and buying and selling them. The Mecum auctions, the Barrett Jacksons of the world, there's millions and millions and millions of dollars that change hands when people buy, fix, sell, trade their cars. It's a huge industry, but there's a ton of interest. And like I said, my customer base, for whatever reason, whether they're professional service or whether they're trades, just about everybody has a car in the back. You wouldn't have known it unless you started. I wouldn't have known it unless I started asking questions.
Yeah.
And I just noticed more and more of them have a car somewhere, either in their garage or in the back of their warehouse. So I think Garland's a great place for a show like this. But we have people that come from all over the state, from out of state. We've had people from Oklahoma, from Houston, Stephenville. So the event is getting some notoriety after
That's
5 years, and we just hope to continue that.
So you've been around for 5 years, and this has really grown organically from your heart and your idea. And look at what you've done now. I mean, look at how big it is, and it's growing every year. And you rely a lot on volunteers beyond the bank, beyond the Hope Clinic. And so where do people get the opportunity to volunteer? How do you find them? Or do they find you?
Well, at first we had to find them. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you, because nobody really knew about the car show or what it took to run a car show. But honestly, through the sponsorship we have with Hope Clinic, and they have an auxiliary. Mm-hmm. We have volunteers from the school district. We have kids that want to volunteer, whether it's the Key Club or the student councils or the auto body shop. Mm-hmm. We just have people that once they see the show, they say, hey, if you ever need any help, we're here to do it. And then we just have random individuals. I've got a neighbor who's not part of a group, but he volunteers every year because he just wants to come be a part of the thing. And so it's just, a lot of it is, if you know our coordinator, Dana Cooper, or if you know me, you're probably going to get drug into it somehow.
So it's like, okay, come on, you're my friend, let's go.
Exactly.
But you know what? Everybody that helps you feels good about it. And that's really one of the core things about being a human being, is that, we feel good when we help other people. And if we're able to really impact the community of Garland, and I mean, what happens at the Hope Clinic saves thousands, I guess millions of dollars, really, if you think about those folks not going into the emergency room because they're able to go to the Hope Clinic. So you really are doing a service way beyond a one-day fundraiser.
Right, exactly. The foundation of the Hope Clinic is to basically provide some managed care to people who couldn't afford it otherwise.
Right.
Otherwise, they wait. The tendency was to wait until they were critically sick and then have to go to the emergency room, which, as you know, is a very expensive way to treat it. We see a lot of diabetes and other recurring issues that just, if they're managed, then the patients have a healthier outcome and a healthier outlook on life.
Sure.
If they're not managed, it can be critical. And so the Hope Clinic is so great. And I should mention that the physician community is great to support Hope Clinic. There are doctors that have volunteered their time, dentists. We have so many hours of volunteer time, and I can't even count them all. And then we have a few people paid on staff that run a successful professional organization. We do fundraising, as you know, because it's tough.
Sure.
The sources, we're funded by this program or that program, and then all of a sudden that program is canceled, and we have to find new funding sources. So for the Hope Clinic, it's vital that they have fundraisers. It's vital that you have something you can do from year to year that can raise a little money to help with the effort. And I have to say this, the Hope Clinic, for every dollar they receive, they give $6 of service.
Wow.
And that's a verified number.
That's a pretty good ROI.
That's a verified number, and the money goes right to helping people.
So you're able to have this phenomenal, really fun event every spring that brings all of these people together from all over the country, and it's a really big celebration of giving back, but it's also a party. You know, you've also got a lot of activities going on. You've got, of course, the kids with the hoods, you've got the cars, but you've also got a pretty big music
Yes,
kind of influence too.
the first couple of years, my son, who's in Nashville, has a band, and they would play. Him and a local artist, Chaz Marie, played the first few years. But the last couple of years, we've had the Stratoblasters, and if you've been around Dallas and been to any of the events, if you've been to the Dallas International Guitar Show, you know that the Stratoblasters are the main band, the backup band, where all the famous guitar players come. They're
Wow.
the backup band for their, I call them the show-offs. When they're on the stage and performing for the public. With the Stratoblasters, Jimmy Wallace, Jerry Don Branch, Matt Tapp, and gang have been around Dallas forever. A lot of people know them, and they're just a great band. They play the kind of music that you want to hear when you're at a guitar show. At a car show. There's a lot of rock and roll. There's a lot of 60s, 70s, 80s, and they throw in some vintage Eagles and a little softer music. But they really specialize in the blues, and they're just awesome. It's a great thing. In addition to that, this year we have two very fortunate high school kids, one in the guitar class at Garland High and one in a guitar making class at North Garland. And two individual kids will be able to be on stage and play with the Stratoblasters. One of the kids has made his own guitar out of like pallet parts off of a pallet. It's an electric guitar, and he's going to play that guitar on stage with the Stratoblasters. So we're looking forward to that. When you're down there, you'll see art. You'll see the art departments and people, cosmetics departments doing face painting for the kids. We have hubcaps that Bussey Junior High has primed, and the kids will come out and they'll watercolor, paint those, take them home, hang them on their walls. It was an afterthought that when we started, I didn't know how it would go, but every year we use every single hubcap we have, and they go home, I guess, and they're hanging on the wall.
Well, this is amazing, Jamie. I hope that everyone is able to catch your event, not just this year, but every year. Again, we've had Jamie Miller here with Wheels of Hope. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening and watching to Coffee with Claire, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Coffee with Claire. To learn more about today's guests, visit their website or find them on Facebook. To learn more about me, Claire Billingsley, follow me on LinkedIn or visit my website at coffeewithclaire.tv. And to hear more episodes of Coffee with Claire, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast and social media platforms.